Hi guys, today we're going to talk about moving backwards. So whether you're trying to backpedal because you're a corner on the football field, or you're doing a drop step in basketball, volleyball, softball, and baseball, moving backwards is critical to athletic agility, and it is not a natural skill. So my body will take the path of least resistance, which means it will pick the easiest way to move and move quickly that you're asking me to in my athletic endeavor. That does not mean it's the best way or the fastest way. It's just whatever way my brain perceives as easiest. So for us to move backwards efficiently and awesomely, we have to overcome our body's natural desire to drive with our head. So eyes drive function. Head is a huge driver in all activity and especially sports because I have to track what I'm doing, right? I track a ball, I track the opponent. So my eyes are going to drive function. My head is going to drive function because your brain works very hard all day with every activity to keep your head in the middle of your body. This helps with being able to gauge distance and help you react to things. It helps you gauge balance because you're in the center of your body and you know where you are in space. So to move backwards efficiently and better, you have to overcome your body's desire to lead with your head. Because the minute I move backwards, I don't want to lead with my head and my upper back to fly back. My first step backwards shouldn't be step, pull back with my trunk. Instead, if I'm going to go backwards, I want to step and lead with my hip. So you need to pretend like there's a laser pointer right in the middle of that butt cheek, and as you go to move back, pull back with that hip or lead with your butt. So we tell all of our athletes here, if we're doing performance improvement or trying to do speed training, it's not just about doing drills to make you faster, we need to make you more efficient. And making you more efficient means teaching your body how to move correctly, because my brain's gonna find the way to do it easiest, and easiest isn't always best. So when I lead with my hip, here's my pelvis, here's my leg. As I lead with my butt, or I try to drive that pelvis, by dropping forward and sticking that butt out and now leading with that hip, what happens is I put my glute on stretch, I put my hamstring on stretch on the back side. On the front side, I put my abs on stretch or my belly muscles on stretch. I also, because I've rotated my pelvis forward, that naturally shifts me to the front half of my feet so that my calves can be more explosive. So now I have put all those muscles on stretch. On stretch means better load and better explode. So I very much want those muscles on stretch, activated, ready to go. So I get into my position, knees bent, pelvis rotated forward, loaded, and I drive that hip, push that butt back to make that backwards step. If I'm doing a drop step, I'm gonna push my left side back. If I'm doing a back pedal, I'm thinking about leading with my butt, and you'll hear us yell this all the time in performance improvement. Drive with your butt, lead with your hip, because I want that pelvis to drive function. If I do what's traditional and what your brain will automatically do, which is lead with my trunk. As you see kids start to go backwards, I pull here. So immediately what that does is uses back extensors, which are small, skinnier groups of muscles. It shifts my weight back, so I'm relying on hip flexors, which are also not large, awesome, athletic, functional stabilizers. So we're relying on two not so great groups of muscles to manage that activity instead of giant, powerful hip, belly, and calf. So I want to go where I have the best bang for my buck, which is those big muscle groups. The other thing leading with my back and leading with my head does is it shifts my weight back. So now my weight is back onto my heels, and if I'm going to change direction and go forward again, I'm pulling back, my weight shifted back, and you're gonna have to shift forward again, which is gonna be a fraction of a second, but you're gonna be a fraction of a second slower, as opposed to pelvis rolled forward, okay, which primes my calves, puts me on the right half of my feet for reaction and power, and now I can drive back with my hip, and if I have to go forward again, I can explode faster and be more efficient. So what keeps me from doing this from a physical perspective? It is hamstring flexibility will affect whether or not my pelvis can rotate forward and whether or not I can drive that hip to lead that motion. Upper back flexibility will affect my ability to rotate that pelvis so that my hip can go. So while we are sitting on our behinds in class all day, on our electronic devices all day, your mobility for this position of good athletic function is getting worse. I also need to have enough calf length so that I can drop my pelvis and be shifted forward. If your calves are really tight, that transition is really tough to make. From a strength perspective, you have to have enough hip stability and abdominal stability and deep calf stabilizer strength to manage this position. If you have a weak glute, your brain will push you forward into more quad and hip flexor. If you have a weak belly, you cannot maintain this position against motion. If you have weak calves, it's going to be hard to stay shifted forward, and you're going to fly back onto your heels and have less explosive reaction. So, flexibility-wise, hamstring, upper back, calf. Strength-wise, glute, belly, calf. So we can work on those individual components as far as strength and improving mobility, but you just simply working on being more efficient with starting your motion and moving in your athletic endeavor. If I'm in a drop step and play defense in practice, as I drop step back, lead with my butt, okay? If I'm gonna drop off the net to the 10-foot line and I'm gonna open up, lead with my butt to get there. If I'm gonna backpedal and just go straight line backpedal, I want you to lead with your butt. Driving that pelvis is gonna make you more efficient, more explosive, and a better athlete.